It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
What is going on, my pretty babies? Lee Sanders with you guys for this Monday night of September 23rd, 2024. Man, it's removed from an all-new Monday Night Raw. What did you guys think about the episode? Sound off. Let me know. Give me those comments, man. Or you can cast your vote if you haven't done so already. X, formerly known as Twitter, at the RCWR Show. YouTube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the Communities tab, or formerly known as the Communities tab. Now it's known as Posts. That just sounds so tacky. Posts. And you can cast your vote off that way. After 14 years plus of being in the WWE, let me put some respect on this man's name, Mr. Main Event Jey Uso. It pretty much came down to yeet or no yeet. Main Event Jey Uso finally did it, y'all. He is the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion, having defeated Bron Breakker on tonight's WWE RAW main event match. Man, I just got nothing but good feelings. Let me tell you something. 3 things came into my mind when all this went down. The first thing that went into my mind was, well, hopefully this will make Rikishi a proud papa, and he'll be a little bit pacified for a bit. He'll be silent for a little bit because he's pretty much been making his rounds on his respected podcast within recent weeks, as we all know, sounding off about what's going on with his boy. How y'all gonna do my boy like that? Y'all doing my boy dirty. It's just wrong. Why you doing him this way? Why you got him messing around with Rhea Ripley? No, he shouldn't be doing that. Why y'all doing this to my boy? I mean, man, you'd swear that Rikishi, the way he was operating, maybe he wants to get some TV time with his boy, right? But this all was on my mind as soon as I saw Jey Uso win the championship. Everything just popping up in my head at the same time. Obviously, euphoria, for sure, ecstatic for your man. And then the other thing that clicked in my mind is, so where are we going now with Mr. Bron Breakker? Because I just got the impression that he was going to be holding on to that IC title. I don't know if you all kind of had the same impression as well, but I thought for sure he was going to be holding on to that IC championship at least until right at about Royal Rumble time. I don't know why, but I just got this vibe that for sure he was going to be wrapping up 2024, still the IC champion. So now I'm really going, this is interesting territory we're in here with Mr. Bron Breakker. What else is going to happen here with this guy? We'll talk a little bit more about Bron Breakker, some of my ideas and all that in just a hot little bit. And the other thing that was on my mind, and I definitely want to give a shout out to him because I know he is a huge Jey Uso fan. I want to give a shout out to my fellow classmate, Thomas. Thomas had the opportunity to check out Jey Uso in a meet and greet that he did. If I'm not mistaken, it was, if not earlier this year, I think it was last year. I kind of feel as though it was earlier this year. I'm sure Thomas will correct me because he now subscribes to the channel, checks out the shows and all that. So I'm sure he'll get back to me on that. But yeah, he had the opportunity to meet Jey Uso out here in Washington, D.C. It was at a cricket event. You know, WWE's got that partnership with cricket phones and all that. And he was able to meet him. And I was picking his brain a little bit. I said, how was it? First of all, how is Jay? And he was like, oh, Jay was a total pro, real nice guy. He actually got there early. I was saying, ooh, really? Because I remember, not for nothing, I don't know what it was, but I know that there used to be a time where WWE would allow their talents to do certain events out here in the metropolitan area. And for a good couple of years, they had a arrangement there, it kind of seemed like, or they were able to strike gold by having a few superstars show up for Awesome Con events. And Awesome Con, it's just basically a little mini Comic Con. That's the best way to really sum it up in everything. Much smaller chain and all that. And there was a couple of years there where a few WWE superstars were late to these events. I know the one that was most notorious amongst wrestling fans slash WWE fans was one year where Seth Rollins, New Day, all three members of New Day, and somebody else, can't think of who it was, but people were upset with Seth Rollins particularly because he showed up almost 30 minutes late. There was no apology to the fans, none of that. And it was just really, really, really bad. But Jey Uso got there 15, 20 minutes early. Line wasn't even that long, but definitely made an impression on Thomas and quite a few other people that were there to meet Jey Uso. Everybody had nothing but positive things to say about the man. So I would imagine that somewhere Thomas is nodding his head, nice big old grin, ear to ear, seeing what went down with Jey Uso. It ain't that hard to believe, though, y'all. Jey Uso, 14 plus years in the WWE, and this is the first championship, singles championship. Let's really clarify. First singles championship that he has obtained. That is just wow. And I tell you what, it does me and my heart some good because that whole stigma, right? Yeah, it's the twin. It's the twin. Little tag team, right? Yeah, little tag team. But man, the transformation that Jey Uso, and then let's not forget about Jimmy, but mainly Jey Uso right now, he has really, really come a long way. It's just one hell of a journey. I must say, one hell of a journey. I did not see this happening for Jay in 2024. I got to admit to you guys, I saw it honestly at this point, just kind of going with the way things were. I kind of felt as though, all right, first quarter 2025, Jey Uso is going to have his time in the sun. Finally, he will get his. Because my thought process was, well, we've got Survivor Series coming up. We've got that whole bloodline and everything that's happening with that. Somehow, some way, in some form, we're going to see the whole family collide going into November. And remember what I've been saying on this show for the past couple of weeks now, which has been, hey, don't worry about Jey Uso. Everything that's going on with him right now has been a side quest. But the main quest over here, in regards to the bloodline, he's going to get back into that. He's definitely going to get plugged into that, was my whole thought process. And I still feel that same way. I just never factored in that the IC title was pretty much going to be a side quest. He'd not only be able to complete, but he'd also become champion in the progress, in the process. So, interesting what we got going on here. Some very turning developments. You ain't gonna find me saying anything bad about Jey Uso getting the IC title. long overdue with the great strides. Because I mean, really think about it like this. We thought for sure Money in the Bank was not meant to be. It was very unfortunate. And as we all have reminisced about here, oh man, in regards to the Money in the Bank, in retrospect, they could have went in so many directions with Drew and CM Punk. They didn't have to go the route that they did with those guys. We still could have seen somebody crowned a Mr. Money in the Bank, somebody definitely deserving that really should not have been used to advance a rivalry. Right. I mean, a lot of us were a little salty about that. And if not salty, we just scratched our heads going, was that really necessary? And the overall consensus was probably not. We probably did not really need to do this, but it is what it is. But we all fell in retrospect. We could have plugged somebody in there like Jey Uso. What the hell? We looked at the King of the Ring, right? I know I'm kind of going out of order here. I'm going off just the top of my head and everything. But we saw so many instances with Jey Uso where we kept going, okay, well, if not this opportunity, if not this moment, if not at this time, then when? When is it going to be Jey Uso's opportunity? And I would not be surprised if a lot of people had looked at this match as soon as it was announced from last week or whenever that went, yeah, you know what? Should be a good match, but yeah, that's going to be Bron Breakker, hands down, without a doubt. Boy, I wouldn't be surprised at those that say, you know what, I'm going to go watch Monday Night Football, or I'm going to go watch this baseball game, or I'm going to go watch, because I already know as far as that main event, I ain't got nothing to worry about. Ain't nothing really going to change. Ain't no championship changing hands. I'm good. Boy, talk about a awakening for those that ain't gonna do that double take later. Wait, what? Jay did what? What? They actually, and I'm glad they did this because again, excuse me, had he not won the IC championship tonight, I really think the conversation that the wrestling community would be having as a whole right now would be not, I want to make sure we clarify here. Not Jey Uso is being buried, because that definitely is not the case at all. It's not the case at all. But the overall consensus of the wrestling community definitely would have been, what is going on with Jey here? Has he upset somebody in management? Is he, is he walking on eggshells here? What exactly is going on? Or the conversation would have turned to, what is up with creative? It seems like they keep dropping the ball here when it comes to Jey Uso at these critical moments for his career, and he keeps coming up short. What the hell? So that definitely would have been the narrative out there. So I'm really, really glad that tonight, it almost kind of feels like WWE tried to correct a wrong here. It almost feels that way to a certain degree. I cannot wait to hear in the next round of media calls, because somebody's going to ask Triple H, Paul Levesque, this whole process with Jey Uso. How long has it been in development as far as crowning him the IC champion? Was this always in the cards? Was this the way that it was always planned out for Jey Uso? Did they have this mapped out for Uso a couple of months in advance here, or were they just going with the flow from the crowd? I'm very curious about the whole creative process, particularly with Jey. And because once and for all, I would just like that definitive, okay, so what's going on here? Were you guys kind of unsure, here with Jey, and other stuff was coming up? What exactly was y'all's thought process creatively in regards to Jey? I can't wait to hear some of those thoughts, because it's going to happen, and we're definitely going to be talking about it right here on the show and everything. Now, look, I would imagine with Bad Blood right around the corner, we got to see a rematch between these two, right? I would imagine, without a doubt, you can pencil that in. That's an automatic rematch. And that should be a really good rematch. If what they did tonight, just think about this for those of you that watch Raw tonight. If you enjoyed this main event, just imagine how it's going to be with these two guys when they run it back at the pay-per-view in about less than 2 weeks. Oh, forget about it. That is going to be so damn good. So damn good. So some other stuff that had went down on tonight's Monday Night Raw. We heard from Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre let it be known that he was watching very closely last week on his TV CM Punk, his respected comments for their upcoming Hell in a Cell match. Drew McIntyre coming right back, letting CM Punk and the wrestling community know as far as that Hell in a Cell match goes. He's been in a few of them, and he's gotten messed up real bad. So bad that to this day, he still is not right. Talked about how his wife and his respective family don't want him to do this match. But he's going into this regardless. And he promises that he is going to make CM Punk bleed a lot. Make him bleed a lot. Cue up Alice in Chains, bleed for me. I think that needs to be, if somebody can just put a really cool kick-ass video package together of CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and in the background, Alice in Chains, bleed like me, bleed the freak. Yeah, that would be badass. But anyway, Drew McIntyre promising a whole lot of things that's going to be bad for CM Punk. Blood being one of them. Going to pretty much mess him up so bad. It's going to permanently disable him. And that's pretty much the name of the game for Drew McIntyre. Really good, strong comeback of a promo as far as, oh, did he get the one up on? No, I would just say that when it was all said and done, Drew McIntyre pretty much continuing it on here as far as this rivalry. Everything's coming to a head. It's going to be one epic final chapter. I like how we've been seeing these guys really, really build this up. And on the side of CM Punk, I think it's interesting that Drew McIntyre pretty much tapping into some of the consensus that's out there from us fans as far as, that CM Punk that popped up last week, serious demeanor, not about the games anymore, getting down to business here. That's the CM Punk I wanted. So to hear Drew McIntyre say, that's the Punk I wanted all along, I like that. That was a nice little touch, nice little nod to what some of us have been saying on social media, because we've just been, this guy is so goddamn go lucky. Just, ice cream, candy rainbows, yeah, whatever, dude. So good stuff right there. Nice little development. No cameo by CM Punk whatsoever. I would imagine next week we'll see something involving him. Now, we did get our fair share of brawls, though. If you were a person that was interested in seeing random brawls from out of nowhere, this show was for you. From the moment that the show opened up, seeing arriving in a lowrider, Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, and they couldn't even make it all the way out of their vehicle, per se, before we saw somebody getting tossed over a table. What's causing all this? What the hell is up here? And we see that it's Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed throwing it down yet again. Love what they've been doing these past couple of weeks. We eventually see that spill over. I would say a couple of segments later, where Miz was supposed to have a match against Bronson Reed. Strowman coming back out there. I ain't done with you yet. Okay, they're going at it again. Just wrecking all hell, all chaos. We find out that for next week's Monday Night Raw, we are going to see Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman in a last man standing match. That is going to be off the chains. I cannot wait to see that, seriously. And the fun antics, the fun shenanigans that they're going to be doing. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw the two of those big son bitches in the ring earlier tonight, and I believe it was Big Bronson that was on the top turnbuckle, and Strowman was acting like he was getting ready to do a superplex. I don't know if you guys were thinking what I was thinking, but I was looking at that spot going, if this goes, we're going to see that ring collapse. But then we had all the officials come in there and they were breaking up all the guys, and you're going, damn. But then there was a little part of me that was going, wait a minute. Maybe we're still going to see it. And then all the security detail that's in there, they're going to fall right along with when the ring collapses. But it just wasn't meant to be, at least on this night. We'll see what happens when it comes to that last man standing match. But there's going to be some fun, creative stuff that's going to be going down on there. It's been a lot of fun seeing those two big guys go at it these past couple of weeks. Braun Strowman and working with Big Bronson seems as though he's turning a corner for the better, right? He seems to be turning a corner for the better, because for the longest time he was just so goddamn comical. And I remember saying to you guys several weeks ago, what was the match that they had him in where he lost cleanly in the middle of the ring? And it was against a much smaller person. I can't remember the name right now, but I just remember being on this show afterwards going, damn, this is what we're doing to this guy. Like what the hell is going on here with Strowman, former champion, world heavyweight champion in his own right. And, just the way that, this guy was being handled creatively, it was, man, can we get back to some type of basics with Strowman? Can we get back to that period where things was really on the good note with Strowman, in his career, early in his career? And it seems like they're finally starting to turn a corner for the better with him. So, yeah, working with Big Bronson has been one of the best things to happen for him in the Triple H Paul Levesque regime. And I think that's very, very fair to say, but we can push back on that a little bit and say, well, not for nothing, but there definitely was a nice period of time under the Levesque regime where we weren't even sure about Strowman. Let's be real. I mean, right down to the point, if anybody was kind of thinking to themselves, wonder if this guy is going to be on the chopping block. Is he going to make it? Is he going to? And you wouldn't have been. Look, that's not wishing ill intent on anybody. That's not being mean spirited. You just look at creatively what was going on with the big man, and you legit, it was okay to think that way. Fantastic brawl that went down backstage. We didn't get to see it. It just pretty much was after the fact. Sheamus was being interviewed backstage, cutting a interesting little tongue-in-cheek promo on Pete Dunne, continuing to call him Butch. So obviously striking a nerve. And then we fast forward a couple of segments later, and pretty much Pete Dunne is pulling a hit on Nancy Kerrigan, because he's got this wooden paddle and he's beating the crap out of Sheamus with it. Loved it. I laughed so hard at that going, Payback is going to be a dog on this one. And remember, Pete Dunne picked up a W on Sheamus the week before. So, so much for a humble Sheamus coming out there. Hey, I got to give the little runt some credit here. He showed some spunk. He's got some bite to him. And hey, man, hey, he got me. He got my ass. I'll put some respect on his name. He's Pete Dunne. But me and him ain't done just yet. Nah. Sheamus still kind of throwing those little verbal digs at the man. I loved it. So the fact that Pete Dunne essentially snapped on the brother, Yeah, yeah, I definitely obviously these guys are far from that. Maybe that's gonna be something else we'll see. If not on Monday Night Raw, maybe that's another one that we'll see as far as Bad Blood. It definitely fits the criteria, right? If you want to put something advance it, kick it towards the pay-per-view, you could definitely do that matchup for sure. So nice, fun stuff right there. Some good matches, I would say, yeah, for pretty much throughout the night. You know, the one that really stands out to me the most, that was most enjoyable, I would have to say, was the Unholy Union taking on Io Sky and Kari Sane. That was for a women's tag match too. That was really fun. I had a lot of fun watching those girls go at it. Great chemistry with one another. You know, it kind of seems as though these respected tag teams, they're trying to make the argument as far as who should be facing Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, getting a shot for those women tag titles and all that. And you know, look, we still got the Pure Fusion Collective, which, oh my god, that name. We got to do something with that name, y'all. Seriously, we gotta do something. We gotta do something with that name. But anyway, nice amount of time put into the women's tag match. It went about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Um, did not mind seeing the Damage Control girls and EO and Kari picking up the win. Like I said, as far as matches go for the entire night, this was surprisingly one of my absolute favorites. So if you didn't watch Raw tonight, maybe because you were watching a game, you definitely want to, as far as matches go, rewind it back, check that out. Some other stuff from tonight's Raw. Also, honorable mention to Carlito and Dragon Lee. Had a lot of potential there to really go. I'm surprised that when these two men were facing one another, WWE didn't try to go, okay, you know what? You know, we know what these guys are really capable of. We've seen what they've been able to do on the independents and all that. Let's kind of go a little wannabe CMLL AAA here. Let's go ahead and, you know, so you could see for the little bit that this match was on, and I do mean very little bit, y'all. This match was running about, man. Look, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. You lucky if this match was even 2 minutes. Lucky if this match was even 2 minutes. I mean, nice that Dragon Lee was able to pick up a win and everything. That's cool and all that. But I mean, beyond that, really nothing here. Really nothing here as far as the match goes. There really was nothing here. This is a big fat nothing burger. Two talented guys, and you just pretty much, yeah, go out there for a few seconds. Like, what was the point of I guess in retrospect, as far as what was the whole point here, if you want a whole man on where Rey Mysterio got involved, you know, you did have a little bit of other Judgment Day interference in this, Carlito, other LWO members, right? If you want a home man on Rey Mysterio and pretty much the fact that he was that factor, that major factor that helped Dragon Lee ultimately pick up the dub. But then look at what happened later on in the night when New Day had went up against American Made's Creed brothers. You got to peep out the outfits for this week. If y'all say to me, Lee, they've been wearing some form like that actually the past couple of weeks. Apologies in advance, but this was my first time really noticing they're really going the Kurt Angle route with the attire. I mean, tonight was really screaming Kurt Angle. And I know Kurt Angle had said recently, I'm trying to think if it was maybe on his podcast, but I'm not sure at this point. But I know he recently went on record and said if WWE were to ever reach out to him and see if he'd be interested in somehow being worked in to American Made, he'd be all for it. I would love it if we could see him, you know, somehow do something with them. I would, especially if it's a case where American Made has been hitting some type of a funk, and it gets to a point where Chad Gable says, look, I know we've hit a slump. I'm right there with you guys. Don't think I haven't noticed it. We all are going through some growing pains right now, and I've exhausted every other option that's out there as far as ways to rectify this, but reached out to somebody that knows a thing or two about winning, somebody that knows a thing or two about winning championships, and just on and on. You guys, I don't need to connect any more dots, but pretty much that's how you want to try to bring in the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. Yeah, sure. I mean, it screams Kurt Angle, insert here. But for now, he's not needed because they're doing pretty good on their own and everything. But yeah, the outfits tonight screamed my man Kurt Angle. Nice match with the guys. I love seeing there's a mosquito in here. Hang on, guys. Where is it? Oh no, I'm not smacking my Mac. You can forget that. Mosquitoes freak me the hell out when I see them, and once I see them, it's like all I want to do is kill them for the entire show. Seriously. I don't know what's been going on, but we've had this nice, cool, crisp, kind of chilly like weather at night, and yet somehow I'm continuing to see mosquitoes. I must have killed about probably 6 mosquitoes this past week. 6 mosquitoes alone. If I get a hold of this one, that's going to be number 7. Anyway, Xavier Woods letting Kofi Kingston know beforehand, hey, none of the silliness tonight. You know, we got to be competitive. We got to be serious. We got to make sure that we don't get heated. We got to be cool here. We got to take care of business here. We got to get back to basics here. This is that opportunity. Practice what you preach, man. Seriously, because there's that goddamn mosquito. We see in the final moments of this match, Xavier Woods losing his cool because Chad Gable kept interfering. And he just had enough and was beating the holy crap out of Gable. I mean, just snapping big time. Referee, a lot of leadway here. But that distraction was just enough for the Creed brothers to honestly capitalize, neutralize Kofi, focus on Xavier, take him out, pick up the victory, and that pretty much was it. Now, backstage, Rey Mysterio, LWO, crossing paths with New Day. Rey Mysterio letting the guys know, hey, what went down last week, it was nothing but love. It was nothing but respect. They were just trying to have New Day's back. No way, no how. Were they trying to cost them New Day shot at the tag titles? Xavier wasn't really feeling that, though. Being very salty. Rey tried to give him a pass a couple of times. Rey saying, look, I can't really focus on you right now. I got to focus on Finn Balor. Xavier really getting heated over that, saying, okay, yeah, because you're a world heavyweight champion, a former world heavyweight champion. Finn Balor, a former world heavyweight champion. Okay, I get it. You ain't got time for me because I ain't a former world heavyweight champion. I see how it is. Kofi trying to calm the dude down, letting him know wasn't like that at all. Xavier feeling as though, okay, yeah, you're a former world champion. So all y'all, okay, man, bump all y'all. Seriously, fuck all y'all. Fuck all y'all. I loved it. Rey Mysterio coming right back. Okay, you know what? I was gonna take care of Finn Balor. I'll take care of you first. I'll see you next week. So next week's Raw, we're gonna see those two get it on. So that should be a fun matchup there. But I love continuing to see this poor build. It's a great build, but I just the whole mental breakdown, the character breakdown, this eventual turn. They're doing a phenomenal job with what they're doing with Xavier Woods. Just that nice, good, slow burner, man. I'm freaking loving it. I'm loving it on all levels here. Let's see. Other than that, I'm just trying to think if there was some anything else. Oh, one interesting development coming up at Bad Blood. We found out that for Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley, their match for the women's championship, it is now going to be a joint where Dom Mysterio will be in a shark cage. You know, because and it makes sense because he's always interfering and all that, right? So he is going to be in a shark cage. Now, what was not defined for us tonight, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more next week. If they said it, I didn't quite catch it. I wonder if that shark cage, I wonder if that's gonna be high above the ring while the girls are fighting one another, or if he's just going to be in a shark cage outside the ring to the side. Like, I'm wondering how exactly that's going to go down. I would imagine he's going to be above the girls, right? I mean, it makes sense, right? Anything less than that kind of be a little silly, right? So I'm looking forward to that. You know, he's going to figure out some type of way to get out of that joint. Nice mention for Sami Zayn taking on Ludwig Kaiser. That was one of our opening matches. Sami Zayn picking up the win against Ludwig Kaiser. Great match, great competitors. Uh, very, very solid. Sammy needed this win, I personally feel. I mean, after all, he did kind of get his ass handed to him a couple of times there by Bron Breakker. I won't say he was uh in a rough patch. I won't say that, but what I will say is this definitely was needed. That much I will say. It was needed, but if it would have been a case where Kaiser would have picked up the win, I don't really think it would have screamed, "Hey, what's going on with Sammy?" Or, well, damn, what, I don't think anybody would have been thinking that way. So, good stuff right here. Good stuff right here. Other than that, I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that was kind of noteworthy from tonight's Raw. I don't think, just looking at my notes here, that pretty much was it, actually. Yeah. Just looking one more time. Yeah, that pretty much was it for Raw. So overall, pretty solid show. I would say nice continuing build up there for your Bad Blood pay-per-view. By the way, kudos to WWE for showing the video package that came about from SmackDown with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I sadly did not get to experience that segment in real time last Friday. By the time I got an opportunity to check out that segment, it wasn't until Saturday night going into Sunday. Yeah, it wasn't until late Saturday night going until Sunday. And I just happened to be on YouTube and it was suggested to me. And at first, I didn't even want to click on it because I was thinking maybe I was seeing something that was from this past WrestleMania. But then at second glance, oh, hold up. SmackDown this week. Checked it out, and I just gotta say, and I hate to sound very redundant here because I'm sure by now, especially for those of you that like making your rounds, checking out what other folks have to say and all that. I don't mean to sound redundant when I say this, but when I do say this, it is the absolute truth. This is how I honestly feel from a production value standpoint, from somebody, take it from somebody that, and I will speak on it from this standpoint. Understand something. When I speak about something particularly, normally I am talking from a experience standpoint, whether that is, hey, when I did try my hand at trying to get involved in the wrestling industry, or hey, my friends that are either currently in the business or were in the business, it's always from a place of some form of experience. So this particular segment, as far as from a production value, which I can tap into because I am studying television production. So everything from the sound mixing, the engineering, the stage lights, all of that. Let me tell you something from a production value standpoint. That segment hit all the goddamn marks, from the lighting, the type of light that was used. I mean, obviously they were relying on on the arena lights, but to a certain degree, they also were relying on their own carrying portable lights as well. I'm not sure if maybe it was somewhat tent lights they were using or what, but from the lighting, definitely the audio and the sweetening that they did with the audio and post production, the great touch that they used for the music that they were selecting, using a combination of instrumental and then incorporating some vocal music. I thought all of that worked out pretty well. If I had to push back a little bit, I really don't think the vocal music stuff was needed, at least towards the end. I don't think it was needed, but that to the side, just everything about that. And most importantly, Cody, Roman, both of those guys hit a damn home run in their back and forth. I loved it. Not too many camera cuts. Sometimes that can be, and think about those camera cuts too for a second. We got overhead shots, and I would imagine they probably were playing around because WWE's been playing around a lot with the drones and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they had used another drone or what have you. But think about the fact that we had some really great city overhead shots, especially those overhead shots that was following Roman and his 7 other vehicles following him to the arena or whatever, and Cody just showing up in his white car, right, all by himself and all that. Think about those overhead shots, and then think about the 360 angle of the arena. Think about the from the ground up shots that they were using there, and then think about the one main camera shot. You get a nice great close up shot, wide shot. Like, I mean, they hit it all beautifully on so many marks with that segment. And to hear that, am I understanding this right, y'all? Jeremy Borash was apparently involved in this. You're just going, give this man a raise. Like, just give him a blank check, whatever he wants to write down. Like, seriously, fantastic. I loved it. I loved it from a production value standpoint. Once like, okay, here's some of what's going on behind the scenes to make this moment here possible, you just go, oh yeah, and I killed the mosquito just like that. I can rest the entire show now. I told you I was gonna get that son of a bitch. I told you I was gonna get it. But no, that is probably hands down one of my, if not my number one, it's definitely up there. One of my top favorite segments that was produced by WWE this year. So I can't wait to see what happens at the end, year end, trying to tally up everything, refresh my memory as far as who's who and all that. But that was great on so many levels, and it just, the buzz, well deserved, not overhyped whatsoever. Not overhyped whatsoever. Great stuff. Hey, let's see what you guys had to say about tonight's WWE Raw. Let's go to the polls. Let's first go to Twitter at the RCWR show. And within the past 25 minutes, by the way, as I'm pulling up the poll, Triple H doing his proud Papa pose with Jey Uso said the following on X: the embodiment of hard work paying off is main event Jey Uso, an all-time great in the tag team division, and now has won one of the most historic championships in our business. Congratulations, Jay. Yeet. Good stuff right there. Good stuff. All right. See what we got here with the polling. If you have not voted yet, you can still do so right now. Go to X, formerly known as Twitter. And I just reposted it for you guys. Right now, I am seeing, wow, I have not seen this in a good minute. In a good minute. But right now, we've got 100% of the vote going towards awesome show. Appreciate you guys that cast your vote on X. Let's see what you guys had to say via YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the post section. See how y'all are voting over there. Interesting. Huh. 25% of you said it was a terrible show. Really? What made it terrible would be my question, because honestly, I'm thinking about the matches tonight. Probably could have done without one, which honestly, if you really paid attention, we really did not need Dragon Lee and Carlito, but everything else was actually pretty solid, especially with what you got with Sami Zayn versus Kaiser, the women's tag match, and then the main event match. So, hey, look, I'm not saying that's BS, but to vote, I can understand maybe going with below average, but terrible. I just think that's a little suspect. 75% of you said awesome show. Let's see here. Okay, so I think we got our answer here as far as the person that might have said uh terrible show. This is a comment, and y'all can see this on your own here. Y'all can see this on your own. I didn't delete it. This comes from how do you pronounce this? Monogassi, who says, and I quote, Raw need to upgrade because I miss an old Raw where a lots of good wrestler was there. But now I find SmackDown more interesting. I'm reading it exactly how he typed it. So y'all can't take out of context. Again, they said Raw need to upgrade because now I'm going to clean it up for them. Raw needs to upgrade because I miss the old Raw where a lot of good wrestlers was there. But now I find SmackDown more interesting. I mean, goddamn, you got. Let's go over this Raw list currently. You got Chad Gable, one of the best damn wrestlers that's out there right now, and quite entertaining as well. We've got Dragunov, who they're continuing to do a better job bringing him into the mainstream audience very slowly. They're handling him better than what's been happening with Lyra Valkyria, who, once again, Lyra Valkyria, nowhere to be found for, I think, another consecutive show here, if I'm not mistaken. I think second week in a row here. But again, let's just focus on the good here. But Lyra's good. She's good. We just got to get her away from some of the bad stuff that we've highlighted these past couple of weeks. But we've got Dragunov, we've got Chad Gable, we've got Lyra Valkyria, we've got the unholy union, Isla Dawn, Alba Fire. Those girls are awesome. Io Sky, Kari Sane, freaking phenomenal, whether in singles matches or in one-on-one matches. Those girls are very good. Who else? Bron Breakker definitely puts on very solid matches. We've got Sami Zayn. Forget about it. He always puts on main event. Jey Uso. Forget about it. He always puts on a pretty good match. Say what you will about New Day. Some people may be a little bit tired of New Day, and I get that and everything. But as far as tag team action goes, or even those occasional one-on-one matches, they still rise to the occasion. We've got the Creed brothers. We've got Ivy Now. Who else we got as far as just wrestling entertainment wise? Like we got these people. My God, and I haven't even mentioned Finn Balor yet. I haven't even mentioned Damian Priest leaps and bounds improvement in these past couple of years. Um, we got Rhea Ripley, and you can kind of maybe push back on Rhea Ripley a little bit. You can say, she's not really wrestling as much as she used to. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Rhea Ripley. You could almost make the same argument for Damian Priest as well. I'm okay with them. Hey, when it counts the most at this point, we're letting them fight at the pay-per-views. I'm okay with that. Uh, the way they're continuing to do with what they're doing with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, pretty smart as far as um, the star power. Raw definitely has it. And then as far as the wrestling goes, they definitely have it as well. So, I mean, kudos to you for, if you find SmackDown more appealing, more interesting, then definitely more power to you. But don't dare say that Raw doesn't have good wrestlers, because Raw does have good wrestlers. If you maybe, and they show you some pretty good matches for the most part, I will definitely give it credit. Raw's really been kind of, if I've had any criticism about Raw, it's the length of the matches. I mean, we just got done talking about Carlito and Dragon Lee, and hey, these two very talented, and the fact that they barely got 2 minutes, man, that's honestly, that's pretty laughable. That is really laughable. So, but don't say that Raw pretty much, again, Raw needs to upgrade, because I miss the old Raw where a lot of good wrestlers was there. They've got the talent. Talent is definitely there. Star power is definitely there. What they need to do is just focus. If I were to push back just a little bit more time on some of the in-ring action, would be nice. I can't wait to see what happens once they go to 2 hours. And apparently the word is, and I don't know how much of this is true. We'll see in due time. But what we do know for a fact is Raw is getting ready to go 2 hours. But the official announcement was made that SmackDown will be going to 3 hours. So I guess the way this is going to go down is, once Raw officially makes the move to Netflix, that's when SmackDown is going to become 3 hours. And then rumor has it that sometime in 2025, the first 2 quarters, SmackDown will go back to 2 hours, while Raw on Netflix will go back to 3 hours. I don't know how much of that is true, y'all. I mean, only time is really gonna tell. But I can't really, get all bent out of shape, and I hope that, look, this is my best advice for those of you. 2 hours, 2 hours. Enjoy what's getting ready to happen to Monday Night Raw while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's all I got to say. I am going to be enjoying that 8 to 10 for the next little bit. It'll be nice to go to bed at a decent hour, be able to watch the news, do some last minute studying if I want to, do that, and then retire for the night. I'm going to be looking forward to all of that. But thank you to everybody that had cast your vote there. And for those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads, and you did not vote, continue to cast your vote. Don't be left out of the conversation. Make sure you let your voices be heard there. Also, I didn't forget you. I didn't forget you. Shout out to NV4. I'm abbreviating it. They're saying they've been a fan of the Usos since 2013. Love Jimmy, but always knew that Jey was going to be the Uso that wins a singles title out of the two. So I think a lot of people probably probably got that same impression as you. I didn't really start going, you know what? There's something here with Jey. I honestly did not go that route until Sami was involved with the bloodline. And Jay's personality really started to me kind of coming out more, as did Jimmy's at the same time. But there was just something there with Jey that made me go, okay, I definitely, for sure. Actually, a little bit before that, but definitely during that time, I felt, yeah, we need to do something here with Jey. Like, we need to figure it out. Whatever WWE needs to do, they need to figure it out already and make it happen already. Um, but yeah, I would imagine Uso fans probably like you felt. I think it's safe to say what maybe for sure within the last 5 years, maybe even 6 years, kind of felt, you know what, something's there with Jey. Jimmy's coming along, but something, Jimmy will get there, right? It's not so much, yeah, Jimmy, but Jey. It's no, Jimmy's coming along. He's still got to piece it all together. Jay's almost there. Something's kind of not quite. Give him a little bit more time to figure it out. Now he's pretty much figured it out. Now he's figured it out. All right. So some other stuff that we can get into on tonight's show here. Oh, by the way, I know I had kicked off the show last week telling you guys what a weird fucked up week that pretty much I had. It was a nice little, start to the week. For those of you that aren't aware what I'm talking about, last weekend I was a victim of car vandalism. Some mofos had looked at the side mirror of my car and cracked the hell out of the mirror and ripped that side mirror off the car. And thank God the cable connector was all still intact. Everything was still on point, luckily. Otherwise, that would have cost a substantial amount of money. And me and Tams, and I gotta make sure I plug this. We went into one epic start to this past weekend's Wrestling with the Topics. It was a real funny story when you go and you listen to it all. I got the audio version. I just gotta export it, upload it, and it's good to go. But it's available for on demand on the YouTube channel right now for you guys. But I did, for those of you that didn't listen to that show yet, I did uh fix it. I ended up fixing it myself. I ordered the part that I needed on eBay, and I was able to fix it. So we're good. We're good, because I know there were some of you guys, hey man, hope everything's okay. Damn, I was like, yeah, everything's definitely on the up and up. Good there. Let's see. So where do we go here? Where do we go here with tonight's show? I tell you where we'll go next up with this here. And we are going to talk about Vince McMahon. And you know what? I think we can go ahead and talk about Vince McMahon right now. How about that? So, in case you guys are not aware, or you need a reminder, that Mr. McMahon documentary from Netflix, that docuseries, that's going to be dropping this week. God, there is so much good stuff to watch, right? We got the final episodes of Power Ghosts that's at play right now. We've got 2 more episodes to go of that series, and then that pretty much is going to be it. We got the Law and Orders that's getting ready to come back. Penguin just premiered. I've yet to watch Penguin. I got to sit down. I don't think it's going to be tonight. I'll probably watch it sometime Tuesday, maybe Tuesday night. That'll be I don't know. We'll see. But a lot of good stuff. But the Vince McMahon joint, that's going to be premiering this week. So ahead of that, Vince McMahon issued a statement. And if you guys are not aware of this statement, I'll read it to you. Rather rather short statement to the point. But reading this statement, I just couldn't help but go, "Ooh, this shit. Oh, it don't hit the fan now." That's what I said to myself. So here's what Vince McMahon had to say. "I don't regret participating in this Netflix documentary. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life and the incredible business I built, which were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Unfortunately, based on an early partial cut I've seen, this doc falls short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with my true self, Vince. The title and promos alone make that evident." Wonder if we should pause right there and maybe let's keep going. Let's keep going a little bit more. "A law has been misrepresented or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. The producers use typical editing tricks without, am I reading this right? Tricks without of, huh? The hell are you trying to say here, man? Let's clean that up for you. The producers use typical editing tricks, which is out of context footage and dated sound bites, etc., to distort the viewer's perception and support a deceptive narrative. In an attempt to further their misleading account, the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. I hope the viewer will keep an open mind and remember that there are two sides to every story." So it's so much more than just reading the statement, going, "Damn, that's messed up," and you know, let's really break this down. And we don't need to be long-winded about this, but let's really break this down. Wow, we've only done about an hour of show so far. We're just about an hour in. Wow, that's pretty good. We're doing pretty good on time because we only got a couple other topics, so we're pretty good on time. Listen here. So many things really jump out to me from this statement. First of all, look, if I was Vince McMahon's lawyer, his PR team and all that, I'd be like, "Look, we know you want to put this statement out. We get it. We get it. But let's just wait until this whole docu-series has been released. Then you can get in front of it. Then you can get in front of it. Whatever you want to put out there, we'll work with you and all that to put whatever statement you want to put out there. But right now, no, no. Let's let the docu-series all fall in place. Go from there." That's number one. Because just the grammatical error that I caught in there, I didn't even read this initially. I just glanced at it earlier in the day, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, dude." But the grammatical error, all that, like, so okay, this is Vince. This is Vince that has definitely taken the time out to type this up. Probably said, "Yo," because you would just see, man, I cannot picture Vince McMahon on his cell phone looking at tweets, the Insta. I'm having a hard time picturing that. So I would like to believe that he typed up whatever his thought was, and most likely, "Hey, my social media guy, here, put this out there." And that's pretty much what we got. That's for starters. Next thing I want to focus on here, let's home in on the fact that A lot has been misrepresented or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. What exactly was left out would be my next question. Because remember, the producers, they went on record in a recent interview saying, hey, Vince McMahon, he gave us access to, this superstar, that superstar. We were able to get an interview with this person, that person. And man, just when we thought, we pretty much were done, the stuff with Janelle Grant went down. And so it was a continuing developing story. We didn't really want to put a kaput on it just yet, right? We didn't want to put a cork on it just yet. We wanted to keep going, and that's what we did. So they continued on here. Their budget, I would imagine, their original budget. Again, this goes back to let me peel back the curtain a little bit. For you guys. This is how it works in television, movies, and documentaries, docuseries, and all that. Okay. You have to come up with a proposal budget. Stay with me here. You have to come up with a proposal budget. That proposal budget, right? Before you go into the production phase, everything starts with the pre-production phase. Pre-production phase covers, okay, what's the topic that we want to cover? And for these guys with this Netflix series on Vince, okay, they got that topic, Vince McMahon, right? And it basically started off as a cluster of ideas, just taking one thing, in this case Vince, and then connecting as many things as possible to Vince in order to tell his story and all of that. All right. So originally, these guys are starting with just the idea. And then from there, okay, well, what do we need to make this successful? Okay. Well, would we be able to maybe interview this person, that person, right? So all of this is covered in the pre-production phase, which also involves, okay, are we going to have to travel to these people to do these interviews? And if so, what are we thinking as far as how much all that is going to cost? Are we going with a single camera, or are we going to go multi-camera? Are we going to be looking at having a studio, or are we going to be remote somewhere? Are we always going to be remote? Uh, all of that is covered. What type of equipment are we going to need access to? How many days of shooting do we think is going to be needed to do all of this? Right? All of this is factored into the budget. And there's typically a room for margin of error of about 5 to 15%. You want to do about 5 to 15% to cover your ass, just in case you happen to go over budget, or if you end up being under budget, hey, which is fantastic and everything. I say all this to really, and I'm not defending the producers and all that, but I say all this to make a major point, which is the producer's been working on this for a good minute, couple years. And just when they were ready to, okay, we're done with this, the Janelle Grant stuff goes down. They're going, wait a minute. So anything from the Janelle Grant situation on, they're now going over budget. And I dare not believe that they're going to do a lame ass look. Shout out to the guys at Dark Side of the Ring, Evan and Jason. Good guys. Shout out to them and everything. But we've seen how sometimes their Dark Side of the Ring joints in, they'll cram some type of a white text at the end, in some new update. And you're like, well, it would have been nice to go a little bit more in depth about that one, don't you think? Like, damn. Okay. I don't I don't have that impression from what the producers have said about this documentary. Like it just took a whole new. So I can't wait to see how much ground they were able to cover with this documentary and the way in which the documentary has ended, potential new interviews that might have been included to, ask people, hey, what do you think about these allegations and all of that. But one thing is for certain, these guys went out of budget when they decided Janelle Grant on. Okay, let's cover this. Let's try to, I'm curious by how much, because we're really going to be able to tell as we get near the end of the documentary, okay, is this really well thought out? Did they really try to go above and beyond and tell this complete story in regards to this case? Or, were they pulling Dark Side of the Ring? Did they just kind of go lazy here? We'll be able to tell all that in just a hot little bit. The producers use typical editing tricks without context footage and dated sound bites, etc., to distort the viewer's perception and support a deceptive narrative. And what is that deceptive narrative? That he is, and I'll let you guys fill in the blank. So far, it sounds to me like they struck some nerves in regards to this documentary that Vince McMahon, I would imagine Vince McMahon, potentially Vince McMahon's people, but mainly Vince McMahon is going, God damn, this is very damaging. This really hits close to home. I am picturing code red right now. I am picturing code red right now. That Vince McMahon is essentially in panic mode right now over this documentary. Also, another thing that really caught my eye, the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. Let's read that again because there's a couple of ways you could take that. The producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. When I read that line, first thing that clicks in my head is, but wait a minute. Thought that in regards to Janelle Grant, it's lies, nothing happened, she's not, and then it morphed into, hey, it was consensual. Da, 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 da. And now we're going with the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. That obviously struck a chord with him. I mean, for the longest time, even wrestling fans that's been following the WWE product for years upon years upon years, it always seemed as though the Mr. McMahon character and the Vince McMahon individual, it always seemed like blurred lines. Where does the Mr. McMahon character truly end and Vince McMahon begins? Here's the thing, y'all. Vince McMahon has had time after time after time after time after time again to really get his story out there. And hey, you got it wrong about me. I still remember the infamous Playboy interview that he did back in the day. I mean, that was a very eye-opening story. For anybody that remember the Vince McMahon DVD that came out years back? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I really got to clean up my bookshelf. I'm pretty sure I got that DVD. I remember being so excited to check out that DVD and going to my nearby FYE store, because that was the exclusive deal that they had with WWE back in the day. All the new WWE releases, you can go to FYE and pick them up. I remember being so excited to check out the Vince McMahon joint. And I just remember walking away from that joint afterwards going, what the fuck was this? I remember being greatly disappointed because I felt as though it was a case of, okay, so where does the Mr. McMahon character stop and everything else is Vince? And it was really, kind of hard to say, quite honestly. I honestly felt, as a fan, I felt like I understood a great deal more about Vince as a person from that Playboy interview than I did with his own damn DVD. So he's had all these years to get his story, get it right, all that. And yeah, here we are with this. Sounds to me like the producers touched some serious nerves. Sounds like they rattled the cage a bit, made him feel a little uncomfortable. Sounds like these producers and everybody involved, gee, I don't know, actually did their damn job as far as news gathering information and cross referencing and trying to tell a very complete story and all that. And if he feels as though the viewer's perception, um, is going to be convoluted, not it's late at night, forgive me, is going to be contaminated. Let's go with that one. Yeah, sounds like they're doing their job here as far as I'm concerned. The other thing that kind of stands out to me in regards to this Netflix documentary, one thing, and I did not touch upon this in the week since this documentary was announced. The fact that WWE got this deal with Netflix, like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this documentary? What is the whole point of this documentary? That's something I've been rattling around for a little bit now, because everything's on the up and up. Everything is good with the WWE right now and everything. Like, why do this documentary? Keeping in mind that WWE is right around the corner from making its debut on Netflix, just a couple of months. Like, why are we doing this? Is this our way of essentially trying to get the WWE fans to flock over to Netflix a little bit early? Or are we doing this to set the tone for other people not familiar with the WWE company as a way to kind of, hey, look, here's what happened with this company involving this guy and how this company was made to be, and like what's the carrot here? What are we doing here? I haven't been able to wrap my brain to come up with a definitive answer for, why this documentary is happening on Netflix months prior to, because you just would have thought that as far as part of the bargaining in WWE RAW going to Netflix, you just would have thought that Nick Khan and them, or lawyers, whoever, you just would have thought they would have worked it out in their deal. Hey, we understand you guys are possibly doing something with a documentary. Yeah, we don't want that on Netflix. You guys gotta let that go elsewhere. You guys can continue to fund it if you want, but we would prefer it if that was not associated with us on the same network. You would have thought they would have pulled that card, but they did not. I guess when it's all said and done, TKO Endeavor, hey, look, you're talking about a different owner, because we had nothing to do with WWE. Da da da. That's the only thing that I can really think of here as far as why even Ari Emanuel, TKO, and Everin crew would even be like, yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah, go, we ain't tripping over that documentary. It's all good. So you guys sound off. Let me know your thoughts about that, because it just feels so weird, very, very weird. It's almost like going to a party with your new girlfriend, knowing damn well your ex-girlfriend who you maybe broke up with barely, barely 2 months is going to be at that party. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that one. All right. Sound off though. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that. Ken Shamrock recently sat down with Chris oh my god. I was getting ready to call him Filet. Chris Van Vliet. Good interview. Check it out. I'm a big Ken Shamrock fan. Some really good stuff. Of course, he talked at length about why he did not fight Chyna during his tenure in the WWE. And you just can't help but find what he said admirable, which is, look, I had kids back then, and the way I was trying to raise them, I was trying to raise them right, which was, you never raise a hand on a woman. And I just didn't feel comfortable, keeping all that in mind. I didn't feel comfortable doing that match. And, understanding how Ken Shamrock was raised and what he was trying to bestow on his kids, you can't help but go, well, mad respect for that. Mad respect for doing it. And, not for nothing, but I can remember watching the WWE product back then. And as huge of a China Joni Lauer fan that I was, even I felt way back in the day, okay, we've got her, we're spamming her out way too much as far as fighting the women goes. Like we need to, it needs to be a rarity. It needs to be a special, rare occasion that we see her fighting the men here, or competing for a championship, as she's, involved in this match for a title, or this match here, and it involves men. And yeah, it just seemed like they were spamming the hell out of that ridiculously, that it was starting to become laughable and comical, quite honestly. So, Ken Shamrock definitely on to something there, but I can really speak on it more as a fan watching the product back then, just looking back on it in real time. And I was a big China fan, big China fan. Moment she came onto the scene, I was in love with her. I was in awe. Um, I just stood in marvel of her look, because it was a unique look, all natural. I haven't seen anything quite like her since. She truly was a one of a kind. But check that interview out. CM Punk was apparently banned from this year's Riot Fest. And it was so goddamn laughable, because when you went on their website, as far as all the things that was prohibited, they gave you like this long diatribe of crap that was that was prohibited. And at the very end, they had CM Punk on that list. And so you're going, well, damn. So I guess he's going to show up. CM Punk goes to Instagram and he pretty much puts up a Riot Fest post. I mean, it's like in a neon light kind of font text that he puts up in his Instagram post. Doesn't say anything else. It's just Riot Fest. You go, okay. So he's going to show up then. Far as I know, he did not show up. I looked online, tried to look up people's experiences at Riot Fest and everything. I did not see any mention of CM Punk whatsoever. Again, I did not see any mention of CM Punk whatsoever. Let's bring that down a little bit. There you go. That's a little better. No mention of him whatsoever. So I guess it's as good as mine as far as what went down. But I think most importantly, and I find this so goddamn interesting, you're trying to tell me that, and you know what, I may follow my own advice here, and I may just end up reaching out and seeing if I can get an answer. But you're trying to tell me that with CM Punk being banned and he didn't show up that weekend, far as I know, you're trying to tell me that no wrestling website, no wrestling website that calls themselves, we got so many wrestling websites out there, include my guys that work at the 401 Mania site. Nobody reached out to RiotFest for an official statement on why CM Punk was banned from this event. It'd be one thing if I saw some wrestling site go, hey, we reached out to these guys for comment and they issued no response to us whatsoever. Your man ain't even seeing that. I find this very, very comical. I really, really do. Because we have, the guys that's out there, the Sean Ross Saps, the Fightfuls, we've got. Now, I would have expected Mike Johnson, PW Insider in there. Mike Johnson, very friendly with CM Punk. He's gotten some exclusive news, CM Punk news from over the years. I'm surprised that Mike Johnson has not even shed any light on this whole situation. At least, hey, reach out for comment. Nothing is out there, but the reputable folks, like, nothing. There's been nothing, because you see how it typically is when there is some type of news. Then you have the news regurgitators, as I like to call them, and that even includes the guys over at 401 Mania. That's not me taking any digs at them. It's just me recognizing um, how they really roll, like the other sites, which is everybody's regurgitating the same news, over and over. And it's like, if you want original content, well, stick around for the wrestling show reviews or the DVD reviews or the movie reviews, but everything else, otherwise, news wise, is going to be regurgitated from somebody else. And not one site had any additional info on what was going on with Punk being banned, allegedly banned. Oh, that was just a tongue-in-cheek humor, just a little gag, just an inside joke, like nothing whatsoever. So I thought that was hilarious. I'm actually gonna see if I can get some type of a statement. And if I am able to get a statement, I will break that news on social media. So stay connected to me, and I will do everything in my power. I will even let you guys know if I don't hear anything. Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm going to reach out as early as Tuesday morning for a statement, and hopefully I will get something before the weekend. And if and when I do, stay connected on social media. You guys will know what's going on. Even if it's a case where they have no comment, I will share that with you. If it's no comment, I'll share it with you. Yeah. Ric Flair announcing that he and Wendy Barlow, I should say, not Bartlow, Wendy Barlow, have parted ways. Now, remember, Wendy was with Rick for a good little while there. My God, it seems like maybe she might have been with him maybe 10 years, give or take, if not a little bit more, when he had that recent health scare. After 6 years of marriage, by the way, but they were together a couple of years prior to that, if I remember correctly. But remember, she was with Rick, as we saw for that 30 for 30 doc on Flair. He was fighting for his life, looked like he was knocking on death's door. I mean, she was right there by his side and everything. So I don't really think folks are that surprised, right? Ric Flair saying in part, and he shared this on Instagram. I think it's important for everyone to know right now that we have decided to part ways respectfully. I'll never be able to thank her enough for standing by my side through my terrible health crisis in 2017. She never left my side, and for that, I will always be grateful. And if you're keeping track at home, he's been married 5 times now. He'd been with Wendy for 13 years, but they married in 2018. So, I mean, look, I've only been divorced once. Thank God. I'm on my second marriage as we speak, and my second marriage has lasted twice as long as my first marriage. And a large part of that, I got to be honest with you guys, especially if you want to have a successful relationship, you want to have a successful marriage, just all that, put it under one umbrella. Look, I ain't the love doctor, but I'll give you some damn good solid advice. You can go much further in your relationship when you, as the individual, are able to take a step back and you're able to really look at yourself in the mirror and really scrutinize yourself and go, how can I improve? How can I become a better me? How can I like myself? And what steps can I take to make sure that I don't fall down this same rabbit hole as what went down in my previous relationship? Like, what can I work on inside of me? When you're able to take that step back and you're able to have those really, really, it's a really hard, not everybody's going to be able to do this. I want people to understand that because it takes a big person to admit, okay, I've got some problems. There's some things I need to work on. But that's the first step to a better you. That's the first step to, okay, you know what, as far as future relationships goes, okay, yeah, you got better odds here. You got better odds in making it work and all that. The first step is to admit I've got some problems. I got to work on that shit. And then once you're able to identify those problems and you've corrected them, you then need to do everything in your power to stay the course. Which brings me to something I've been saying on this show for years upon years upon years upon years upon years, which is in any relationship, the key to any relationship being successful long term, that open line of communication. And it goes so well beyond just, oh, yeah, I hear you. It's you and that significant other pushing each other to do better, always evolving, never settling, flipping it back to Ric Flair or keeping Ric Flair in mind with everything that I just said. This guy is still fucking operating the way he has always been operating since he first got involved in the wrestling business. And he ultimately, here's a case right here. We were talking about Vince McMahon earlier. Where does Ric Flair end? And right, where does and he just, I really believe this man will end up dying in a ring somewhere. He is going to pull a Mickey Rourke from the wrestler. Legit. This guy, he can't stop. He doesn't know how to stop. He doesn't want to stop. Don't just look at this relationship. This goes so much deeper. I mean, really, it's very multi-layered when you really stop and you think about it. And it's quite sad in regards to Ric Flair. It's quite sad at the same time. Because really stop and think about it. Okay, this woman who was by your side for essentially 13 years, you've pretty much ran her off. You freaking, ran off your son-in-law, Conrad Thompson, the one guy that was moving heaven and earth to try to make it work, to try to, market you, make sure your name continued to stay out there, somehow keep your cash flow positive, all that stuff. Eventually even Conrad Thompson said, "The hell with this, man. I'm out of here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to just stick with working with Eric and Bruce and Tony and everybody else. Hell, I don't need this." Adfreeshows.com, y'all. Conrad runs off. Who was the co-host before that Ric Flair had? Was it Mark Madden? Was it Mark? I can't. Mark something, not Mark Madden. Mark something though. I think ran him off. All that was just nasty all throughout social media. I mean, there has just been so many relationships after relationships after relationships. Then you look at the stuff that went down with Tony Khan and AEW. You would have thought for sure, okay, well, man, surely, this will work. Ric Flair, AEW. Some people might have been optimistic, but I know I was here. Me and a few of my friends in the podcasting world, there was a very small handful of us that said, "So how long do we think Ric Flair will last in AEW?" Everybody else was very optimistic. Look, I went with how long before an incident happens, but there was a part of me that was going, "Hope you can milk this for all it's worth. Hope you can make it work. You're gonna fuck up, but I'm hoping you make it last as long as possible." Hey, far as we know, nothing really happened behind the scenes, but just the fact that really nothing truly materialized during his tenure there with AEW. But you just look at all of these relationships, right? Just all of these relationships. That's gonna bother me now, by the way. Ric Flair, then co-hosts. Hang on here. Let me just see something here. No, that's not it. That's not it. I'm trying to find the co-host that he ended up. Yes, hey, that's gonna bother me now because I want to know. I want to know what happened with that original co-host. That's gonna bother me. Some guy, WCW. Yeah, see, it's on the tip of my tongue. Don't tell me after the fact, cause like you guys are so cool. I love you guys. You guys will usually, if I pose a question, you'll hit me up either in an email, private message, or you'll post and you'll go, "Oh, Lee, the person you were thinking about was, man, I love you guys." Well, once the show is already in the books, I've already researched. So it's like I already know, like, no, when I need it most, it's when it's live. That's when I need it most. But it's all good. But no, like 75 going on 76. And this guy just some form after another. Like he can't turn off that fucking character. Put that character to bed and focus more on, okay, my time in that squared circle, it's over. I've now got to, and nobody's saying he's got to go sit in a corner somewhere and like, I think we all get it, especially those of us that's getting up there in age. We all get it. Like the more active that you can be, you're able to do something constructive. And hey, if it's positive, that's definitely a bonus, right? Like, cool. So I think a lot of us can understand, hey, Ric Flair, he's just trying to, continue to stay active, and nobody's saying that he can't stay active. And god damn it, there's another, or is that a gnat? I don't know if that's a mosquito or if that's a gnat, but if that's another mosquito, good God almighty. Great googly moogly. But nobody's saying he, has to go home and sit in his rocker and enjoy a nice glass of warm milk and a sandwich and drool himself to sleep. Nobody is saying he's got to do any of that crap. But hey, Rick, considering what happened with your health scare several years back, should you really continue to keep hammering down those tequilas, dog? Don't you think one is enough? Hey, man, do you really think you should continue to be going out there, nightclubs and all that other? Hey, do you really think it's wise to continue to make an ass out of yourself at, in public, restaurants, and all this other stuff doing XYZ? Don't you think it's quite sad. It really, really is. And he's running so many people that love him, respect him, and all of that. He's running so many people off. Ah, it is what it is. Flair is going to be Flair. And when it's all said and done, not a good thing, especially for the health. Shout out to AEW. Tony Khan is kind of teasing, alluding to the fact that Max may soon be seeing AEW content. So that's actually pretty good. I tell you what, Max is great to have, man, because I got Max. I love not sitting through freaking commercials. I don't know what package I'm paying for. I don't know if it's the standard or what, but I don't get no commercials. I can just load my shit up and I enjoy it in peace. Worst case scenario, maybe I get like a 30-second buffer for some new show getting it ready to premiere or whatever, but like it's very manageable. That's my whole point. It's very manageable. It's not ridiculously out of hand like it is with Netflix these days. But I watch a lot of stuff on Max. Right now, I've been binge watching the hell out of I Almost Got Away with It. Love that series. What else have I been watching on there? I've also been watching Oz. I've gone back and rewatched episodes of Oz. And that's just been it. What's really funny is watching the wifey react to certain things that she's seeing on that joint. So I remember we were binge watching a couple of weeks ago. We were binge watching the first season of Oz. And so she came in on the scene where Schillinger had took a I don't mean to laugh. But just her reactions, that's what's really getting to me. It was funny seeing her reaction on the scene where Schillinger had took a needle, little paperclip needle, and a lighter, and he was putting a swastika on Beecher's ass. and then later on when Beecher had to wear the makeup for Schillinger and all that, and she's just looking at this and she's just going, why the hell you got me watching this? I'm like, hey, it's good TV. She's like, the hell it is. Like, these guys are, she was like, the hell it is. These guys are fucking each other. People doing drugs. That poor guy getting a swastika on his ass. He's got to suck that guy's. It's like, what the hell is this, man? I was like, it was one of the best shows. You're like, the hell if I can tell. I just love getting her reactions, man. But no, Max got some really good stuff. So look, if AEW is going to be able to work out that deal, and that is going to happen, we're going to see AEW content on there. That's great. That is great. That is definitely a win-win for AEW fans, wrestling fans. Definitely those that already have Max. It's a great win-win situation. By the way, speaking of AEW, I'm not even going to try to wrap my head around what's going on there with the Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson, John Moxley. I'm not even going to like no, because like my head hurts just even thinking about it right now. Preview for this week's AEW Dynamite. Remember, it's their Grand Slam event. Prince Nana will be in the house. He will be addressing Swerve Strickland as he'll be providing a health update. He'll be providing a health update. Also for this week's Dynamite, and look, um, boy, the timing of that sucks. Like, 'cause when you need Swerve, like, we need all the star power that we could get, like right now, right? But you got Swerve, he's disappeared. Who else has disappeared? I don't think Hangman has disappeared, has he? I mean, Hangman should definitely be coming out week after week, just basking in the glory of what he pretty much has done to Swerve Strickland and all that. But the timing of that is really hilarious. That okay, Swerve inks this new deal, but now he's gonna go disappear for a little bit. So yeah, peace out. And you're like, man. But actually, no. Other stuff that's going to be going down at Grand Slam. I know for Collision. So it looks like the way they're doing this is pretty much going to be like a two-parter. Collision Grand Slam, we're going to have Okada take on Sami Guevara. Dynamite is going to be Danielson taking on Nigel McGuinness. And apparently that's if Bryan is cleared to wrestle. We've got the Young Bucks going up against Will Ospreay, Cal Fletcher for the AEW tag team titles. Also on Grand Slam, actually no, not Grand Slam. I was looking at Collision, but no. Also on Dynamite, Grand Slam, Mariah May takes on Yuka Sakazaki, AEW Women's World Championship. Collision Grand Slam, Chris Jericho, Big Bill, Brian Keith taking on the conglomeration. Also on Dynamite Grand Slam, Hook, Roderick Strong, FTW Championship. So pretty solid edition of Dynamite, and some of the matches that we got coming up for that weekend's Collision. Going to be pretty good. I don't know what the future holds for Rampage. I got to be honest with you guys. I kind of talked about it a little bit. I think it was not this past weekend's, but the weekend before, wrestling with the topics. Actually, no, you know what? I got my things mixed up. I briefly touched upon it with this past week's review for Rampage on the 401 Mania site. I talked about it there, but I want to expand upon the thought a little bit more here tonight. But I don't know what the future holds for Rampage, because you got the reports that's floating around that apparently, as part of this new deal that AEW has potentially with Warner Brothers Discovery, Rampage will be no more. I guess honestly, they're looking at the numbers and they're going, look, it doesn't really justify to continue to have this show continue on. So let's just really focus on our main two shows. And maybe if anything, we can focus on, I know there's that AEW Shockwave. Reports are right now that that show may be shopped around outside of Warner Brothers Discovery. So that's why we've been seeing some of that stuff out there about, oh, it looks like maybe Fox is possibly with AEW, or these people might be getting in bed with AEW, or these people might, all right, everything is just kind of rumors, innuendos. Everything is just up in the air right now. But if Rampage were to go away, I don't think I'd be sad about that. I really don't. I mean, on the one hand, the product, it's a fast hour, great solid action. You can just watch it as a standalone. That's the one thing that I do like about Rampage. You can watch it as a standalone. And they have certain things as far as continuity goes that keeps playing up on consecutive rampages, but I really don't think it's needed. I really, really don't. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for that show, because if it does go away, what that definitely will mean is it'll free me up, number one. And I'm not really sure if I will continue on working for Full One Mania. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been great working with everybody over there. It's a great team. I like them. They respect the hell out of my time as far as, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, so, very flexible. It's pretty much, look, all right, you're a Rampage guy, and I've covered practically every single Rampage since the show came into existence. There has only been a rare handful of times that I've not been able to cover Rampage, and usually NBA playoffs, not my choice, just how it all plays out, especially when it conflicts with work or whatever. It's like, okay, sadly, I'm not available. Because you know how it is when the NBA playoffs is because when it's in the it comes to the NBA playoffs, sadly, it preempts Rampage. So Rampage might come on at like 3:30 in the afternoon, some weird crap like that. It's like, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll be continuing on with Rampage, with the guys over there, 4-1 Mania, if Rampage were to get canceled. Would I like to continue on? Yeah, but I think I might be more inclined to cover some other stuff. I'm just kind of at that point now where it's like I want to continue to write, but I don't think I want to continue to write AEW related stuff. Now, some people may say, oh, WWE, Mark, here we go. Like, no, not even WWE. Like, I think if I were to continue on with a site like that, I probably would be more interested in covering some non-wrestling related stuff. Music's been kind of screaming at me like, get back more into music, because I remember back in the day I used to stay writing up all kinds of music reviews and all that. So there's a part of me that if they would allow me, maybe do something like that, and then ultimately I could just decide, nah, you know what, I got my own site over here, I'm just going to focus more on that. So I don't know what the future holds. I know, and I'm only saying that because there's been a great balance of folks that have been reading my stuff that end up following me, checking out the shows, all that stuff, and kind of vice versa. So it's almost kind of gone hand in hand, so to speak. But I'm gonna enjoy whatever the future holds for Rampage. I'm just gonna try to do my best to enjoy what they're dishing out each week, and hopefully it's on point, right? Quality wise, hopefully it's on point. But yeah, let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's call it. Shout out to our sponsors. Without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Shout out to my guys over at Navarre Pro, delightfulfinds.com, japas.com, Axiom of Alchemy, canaglobe.biz // sweet sensations, Top Tier Financial Group, Ancient Supplements. Shout out to all of those. They are awesome sponsors. Without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Shout out to you, the listeners. You guys been keeping us strong, keeping us going and rocking and all that for these past 12 years. And our 13th anniversary is going to be coming up right, like it's literally right around the corner. Blink, and it's pretty much going to be there November. Matter of fact, so November, right, literally right around the corner. I gonna be playing around trying to see who we can get to drop by, because I definitely want to do something as far as the 13th anniversary show goes. So as we get a little bit closer, I'll give you some more details and all that. Shout out to friends of the show. Shout out to everybody that supports the show. You guys know exactly who you are. Be Kind Rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. Help us out with the ratings and reviews. Go on the Spotify and on the Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whatever it's being called now. Leave us those ratings and reviews. Helps a ton, especially as far as more people being able to discover the content. We might do something later this week. We'll see. Maybe I'll pop up randomly and give my thoughts on Grand Slam Dynamite Edition. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to surprise you guys. We'll see. Until next go around, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another, my pretty babies. Y'all take care. Peace, y'all.